Okay, y'all, let's do a love reading. This is going to be the first love reading on this channel. I'm so excited about this. This is specifically geared towards anyone who's been single for a minute, but they're ready to mingle. So if you are single and ready to mingle, but you've been out of the game for a second, and you're just pondering what love could even look like, this reading is for you. So you can see I already got you and them on the table, so you can do a little pre-shuffle of your own, just read the body language. You are showing up as the King of Pentacles. Remember, gender is irrelevant, we're just looking at energy here. You are showing up as the King of Pentacles, and the future prospect is showing up as the Knight of Swords. And you can just see all of this like dynamic, explosive, electric energy that's kind of coming in already. And then the energy between the two of you is this Temperance card, and I'm really fascinated by these kind of ethereal wisps that are connecting the two of you already. So what I do want to say is I feel like you're already rendering this individual. And I say rendering because from everything that I'm looking at here and then the cards in the extended, it definitely looks like, for lack of a better term, it's like this person has been on a different timeline or a different dimension or a different realm up until now. It's like something is happening where either the two of you are moving into a third space together and co-creating that, or they're basically being pulled through the astral realm, through the ether, into physical manifestation as we speak. And the best way to describe it is like, because again, I was trying to figure out, again, this energy. It's like, are you moving towards them or are they moving towards you? But it's almost like the two of you are kind of standing in place while the distance between you is the thing that's being moved or deleted, right? So I can't even, I'm having trouble even pulling in a metaphor to describe that, but hopefully you get it, where it's like the two of you are stationary and whatever the void space is that's between you is the thing that's being moved. So it's like, from one perspective, it looks like they're approaching you. From another perspective, it looks like you're approaching them, but it's really simultaneous. And the cards in the extended, by the way, there will be an extended for this. You'll see that in the description box. But a little preview for the extended was that this clarified for me that this future partner is basically an alternate universe version of yourself. That's the best way that I can describe this. And the metaphor that I can use for that is if you've ever seen the movie Oblivion, it's with Tom Cruise, and effectively there's all of these different, what do you call them, like zones, different zones on Earth, and Tom Cruise lives in this one little zone. So it's what we'll call it zone 50, right? And he's not allowed to leave zone 50. And one day he accidentally stumbles into zone 51, and when he goes there, he finds another Tom Cruise, right? And it turns out that in every zone, there is a Tom Cruise, right? But it's like he's supposed to be kind of contained to his own little timeline. So that's effectively what I'm seeing, is that it's like, ignore the Tom Cruise aspect of it, but it's like, ideally, I guess you would want a partner who is almost like an alternate universe version of yourself, right? Like a perfect match. It's like, what's better to match you than you, right? So it seems like you're basically in the process of pulling in an alternate universe version of yourself into this timeline, or you're creating a third timeline, like I said, where the two of you can cohabitate or something like that. And the reason why I think you're showing up as the King of Pentacles is because this really does remind me of the energy that I think we hit on the eclipse, right? Where it's like the energy of the checkpoint. It's kind of the culmination of all of the work that you've done thus far. But it's also the energy of knowing yourself, right? And loving yourself, but also knowing yourself. And I think it's so hard for us to manifest a partner and try to figure out what we want when we don't know who we are. And what this is telling me is that you're in the process of manifesting this new person because you actually know who you are, and therefore you know what it is that you need, what it is that you don't need. And it also goes back to the old adage of, for so long we've known what we don't want, but we didn't exactly know what we want. And I think that now, post-eclipse, you have a much better idea of what you want. Now, one thing I will say about the King of Pentacles is that the King of Pentacles is an energy of somebody who's ready for something new, right? They've achieved whatever it is that they set out to do. So maybe it was just, proving to yourself that you could be independent and accomplish something on your own, or yada, yada, yada. And you've accomplished that, or whatever it was that you set out to do. But the King of Pentacles is ready for something new, but apprehensive. Because in spite of the fact that the environment that he's in is a little overgrown, it's like he's comfortable there, right? So there is a degree of getting out of the comfort zone that's required. And I think the reason why is because in any relationship, ideally, your algorithm is going to change completely, right? Because as soon as you integrate somebody into your life that becomes a partner, you build your world around them, right? And then all of a sudden it's like your social calendar changes, what you do on Friday nights changes, different restaurants that you go to change, because most likely they're going to introduce you to new things and you're going to introduce them to new things. And as a result of that, your algorithm is going to change, right? They're going to become the person that you send all your funny memes to right away. They're going to become something like that, right? It's like the algorithm changes to integrate this person into your life because they become the centerpiece of your reality. But that's a death experience, right? It's a tower moment. It's a positive tower moment. It's a positive death experience, but it can be frightening, and there can be apprehension around that. So I would say that that's something to be mindful of. And then also look at the energy that this is coming in with, right? I think this happens to us a lot, where our manifestations arrive with so much force that it's almost like a freight train pulling into the station, right? It's like everything, it's intense. It can be intimidating. And that's how this energy feels, is that it's like it's coming in with a rumble, so to speak. But again, the temperance energy between you is that it's like these two individuals are co-creating each other, right? So much like you're somehow pulling them in from their timeline, they're pulling you in from your timeline. And that's why I feel like you are kind of co-creating a third space, right? Almost think of it like the Vesica Pisces, right? It's like here's your sphere and here's their sphere, and you guys are in the process of overlapping and creating that third space of whatever it is that your common ground is, right? And ideally with a partner, it's like it should almost be like the eclipse, right? Where it's like totality is the goal, right? You want those two Vesica Pisces to become a circle effectively. Sorry, I realize you can't see my fingers, but you know what I'm saying. So you're in the process of pulling each other in. And again, that was the extended is what helped me clarify this and helped me realize that this person is effectively you from another timeline, right? And it's like circumstances that bring them in seem to be rather random, if that makes sense. But what I can say about, again, your energy with the King of Pentacles is that this is happening because there is a degree of confidence that you're feeling right now, where you really do know yourself and you know what your thing is, what your domain is, right? The king knows their domain. That's your kingdom, right? And again, gender is irrelevant. You can absolutely be a woman and be in your King of Pentacles, but it's really about knowing your strength, right? So, you could have a particular art form or craft or thing that is your thing explicitly. And that's how you've kind of discovered yourself, is through, again, the exploration of your talents and your gifts and the mastery of those things. And it can literally be anything, right? There's no specific thing that it has to be. Maybe your thing is cooking, maybe it's gardening, maybe you're just a really good lawyer, maybe, it doesn't matter what your thing is, but your thing is your thing, and you know who you are as a result of that. And I think that that's going to be very important in terms of how this person identifies you and how you identify them, because it's coming up in the extended. So I'll just give you the preview of that. They recognize you because of your gifts, right? It's almost like they see you in your flow state, or they see you doing your thing, so to speak. And that is ultimately the most attractive thing for this person. And the other thing that I'm seeing here is that it's like, as you're cooking this manifestation, right? Because the Temperance card in the middle is saying that you're just in the process of kind of gestating this and thinking, if I could have my cake and eat it too, what would it look like? So as you're baking that cake, it's like the scent of that cake. If you've ever baked baked goods, right? It's like it fills the whole house with that scent. That's what I'm seeing in terms of this smoke, is that it's like the smoke on this temperance card is the scent of that cake that is pulling this Knight of Swords in, and vice versa. It's like they're baking a cake, so to speak, that's attracting you. But going back to the old adage of if I could have my cake and eat it too, what would it look like? 9 times out of 10, when the universe asks us about relationships and what do we want, when it comes to our cake, we say, well, I hate chocolate. The universe says, okay. And you say, well, I hate cream cheese frosting too. Okay. And I don't want to see the color blue anywhere on that cake. Okay. So now you've told me everything that you hate. I have no idea what it is that you want. Right? The reason why I said that is because when I did my pre-shuffle and I went to pull these 2 court cards, I accidentally pulled 2 cards that should not have been shuffled into this deck. And they were 2 Fool cards and a 9 of Swords. Right? So 2 Fools and a 9 of Swords. Smash that like if you've dealt with more than 2 Fools in the past that left you in a 9 of Swords, which is that coulda, shoulda, woulda regret energy. Where every time you do your future prospecting and you think about the future person, you go back to the 2 Fools. You go back to what you don't want. Right? So the universe says, you can have your cake and eat it too. What do you want? And you say, I hate chocolate, I hate cream cheese frosting, and I hate blue icing. And the universe says, thanks, girl, but you've literally told me nothing about what you want. Right? So you say, okay, well, I do like angel food. Okay, great. And I'm a fan of the strawberry filling. Perfect. And I wouldn't mind, some coconut sprinkles on top. Done. And the universe is like, boop, boop, boop. Angel food, strawberry with the coconut sprinkles. Doo-doo-doo. And there it is. You have to tell the universe what you want. You can't just focus on the things you don't want. Because honestly, it's almost like the universe doesn't care what you don't want. It's irrelevant, quite frankly, to this manifestation, right? It's the past. We get it. You know what you want, you know what you don't want, but you need to focus primarily on what it is that you do desire, right? And another example that I can use is that when people talk about, so in terms of manifestation, say what you want to manifest is peace. If you're trying to manifest peace, the last thing you want to affirm is that you don't want war. Because if you keep saying, I don't want war, all you're going to manifest is a war that you don't want. What you resist persists. So this King of Pentacles, this checkpoint energy that we hit during the eclipse, I say this collectively to everybody and their mother down to the studs. We are not in the same story or universe that we used to be in. So whatever algorithm you were dealing with in the past is no longer applicable to your situation, right? So don't worry about the fools. But also remember that you ain't no fool, right? You have a BS detector that, I'm sure Raytheon wished they had. You know what I'm saying? It is technology. You can smell a fool come in from 110 miles away. Right. So remember that about yourself. Just remember how wise you are and all of that, but also remember everything that it is that you have to bring to the table. Right. That's the King of Pentacles. It's like you've got quite a laundry list of good things to bring to any equation. Right. So that's where it's saying that your circumstance is not a hindrance to partnership, because you might be focusing on things that you think you lack, but the reality is you have so much abundance to bring and to share that, quite frankly, it's like, why even focus on the things that you lack? But again, it's like your gifts, whatever it is that you do, even if it's just your energy, your heart, your experience, all of that, that's going to be so valuable. And again, it's like whatever this future person is looking for, who again is like an alternate universe version of yourself, they're not going to see any of these lackages. Is that a word, lackage? I guess. They're only going to see your gifts. And again, it's like the best way to attract this person is to let those gifts shine, right? So whatever that means in terms of visibility, in terms of putting yourself out there, in terms of doing the best that you can to attract, because it's like the most attractive thing that you can do is be in your flow state, if that makes sense. So whatever it is that makes you feel like the King of Pentacles because you've mastered a particular thing, it's like that is going to be your most attractive energy, if that makes sense. And then in terms of the rendering and the manifestation that you're already doing for pulling this person in, the primary focus is kind of, again, recognizing that you're manifesting an equal, right? So that's where I'm seeing like manifesting yourself. It's like you're a King of Pentacles that's looking for a Queen of Pentacles, theoretically, right? Or a Queen of Pentacles looking for a king. Again, the gender is irrelevant. I hate to get caught up in that, but it's like you're both manifesting each other, but it's equal partnership. So you're not looking for a supplement, right? You don't feel like you're lacking anything because you're in your King of Pentacles. So you have all of your energies very well integrated. You have your Empress, your Emperor, all of that. But what you're looking for is not a supplement, but a complement, right? So you're looking for somebody that respects your sovereignty as much as you respect theirs, right? And that's absolutely possible to have two people that are kind of equal heavyweights that both kind of foster and encourage one another's growth, right? Because of just how exciting the prospect of love is. But the other thing to remember too, in terms of manifestation, is that integrating somebody into your life is a death experience, right? It's a tower moment, but in a positive way. But what I mean by that is that ideally, with partnership, your algorithm should change completely, right? Because right now you have a single person's algorithm. So what you do on Friday night and in your downtime is based on that, right? Who you chat with the most often is based on that algorithm. The other thing is that, oh, there was something I wanted to say and I lost it. Well, going back to the King of Pentacles, again, the King of Pentacles is somebody that very much so knows their worth and what they want to do, but the King of Pentacles can be apprehensive about change, right? So King of Pentacles will come up for me a lot of times in career readings when somebody is like an entrepreneur, an independent contractor, a sole proprietor, and they've built their business up to the point where now it's time to integrate somebody into that. But it's nerve-wracking because you don't want to disturb the peace, right? You found your flow state, and to bring other cooks into the kitchen can be a hairy situation. So this is about, recognizing that it absolutely is possible to integrate people into your circumstance, and that it doesn't have to be like the past, right? The two fools with the Nine of Swords. It doesn't have to be that energy. But what this talks to me about is just examining that for yourself, right? Where you have your apprehension about integrating people into your reality in terms of boundaries, in terms of, I don't want to give this up, or I'm afraid of losing that, or whatever. It's like examine those fears, because the question is, will you actually need to give any of those things up? Or is that even really something that you want to hold on to, right? There's certain things that we do hold on to out of fear just because of the fear threshold, when in the reality on the other side of it, there is a lot of excitement and everything that comes with it. So with all of that being said, I am going to jump into the extended, and that's going to show us what's next and why, which is basically this alternate version of yourself slash future prospect coming in, and the circumstances around what that might look like, what to expect, and the role that you're supposed to play in all of this, the advice, and just any other messages for spirit. But before I jump into that, let me pull a couple more oracles on this just to see what we can pull out of it, and then we'll jump into the extended. And I will say that for the extended, it's going to be through a website called Selfie, which is a brand new site that I just found. You can download it directly and you will own the video forever. And that's pretty much that. So what do I have here? I have under the King of Pentacles, I have anxiety, my macaroni from the sky card. So this usually tells me that whatever it is that you're stressed over is just macaroni falling from the sky, right? So this kind of goes back to what I was just saying at the end there about just taking an inventory of anything that you are concerned about in terms of integrating people in, and figuring out whether or not that's a valid thing to be concerned of, or if it's just fear programming that needs to be worked through. The Temperance card is clarified by, I'm preparing to move into my perfect place, which is on its way to me right now. So this is what I'm talking about with like creating a third timeline, right? You and this future individual that looks like they're still in the astral. I mean, literally, it looks like they're made out of plasma at this point, right? Like, that's why I'm saying creating a new realm. And then underneath the Knight of Swords, we have, I'm letting go of all I do not need so I can easily move into my new dream home in perfect timing, right? So in terms of timing, there is a timing thing that comes up in the extended, and it has nothing to do with TikTok time. It has to do with focusing on whatever it is that makes you feel like the King of Pentacles. So how I was saying, like, you have a particular thing that you do that just makes you feel like you're in your zone. It doesn't matter what that thing is, right? Like I said, it could be cooking, it could be cleaning, gardening, maybe you write, maybe it doesn't matter. Whatever that thing is, that is the vibe that you want to be in. And the more you can focus on the feeling of contentment that comes from that, the easier it's going to be when this gets pulled in. Because I will say in the extended, it looks like you kind of shift your focus away from this for a moment. And in that moment, that's when everything comes together. It's always like that, right? It's when you're not thinking about it that the thing happens, right? But what you are thinking about when this happens is how excited you are for the future, right? So that's really the key to manifesting this, is that you can't think of this as something that you dread. You can't think of this as something that you're worried about. You can't think of the future as something that you dread. You have to almost look forward to the fact that the future is going to surprise you, and just kind of leave it at that. Like it's the Christmas morning feeling, right? You know there's gifts under that tree. You don't know what they are, but you know they're there, right? So just looking forward to that, knowing that you're waking up tomorrow morning and you're going to unwrap something beautiful, and let it surprise you. Let everything about these circumstances surprise you. Do as little as you can to control the wavelength. Keep the wavelength as wide open as possible. Like I always say, if you're trying to manifest a car, if you focus on the cherry red Ferrari, that's a narrow little wavelength for the universe to work with. But if all you need is for the car to be reliable, safe, affordable, optimism that you're going to be driving it and having a good time, it'll happen before you even know it, right? So I'm going to jump into the extended. Thank you so much for joining me for this, and I will see you in the extended, y'all. Hasta la vista.